Hi, I'm Jen Bankard with the BTN Group, and I'm here with Andy Hegley, FCM Managing Director for UK and Ireland with FCM Travel. Andy, welcome to Business Travel Show Europe.
Hi Jen, thanks very much. Great to be here.
So first of all, I hear congratulations are in order. I hear you just joined the FCM team from the corporate traveler side just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. So 15 years with the group, and literally this is week 4, moving across from corporate travel, as you say, into the FCM brand. So exciting times.
Excellent, and things are going well so far?
Within 4 weeks, things are going okay, yeah.
All right, well, wonderful. So today, I think we're going to talk a little bit about the changing role of the travel manager. Perfect timing, I'm actually moderating a panel tomorrow on this very topic. So within FCM, and I guess your time at Corporate Traveler as well, we know that travel managers have had to take on a lot of new roles over the past 2 years. What are some of those new roles that you've seen, and how do you see this continuing to evolve over the next few years?
So just to be clear, travel managers from a client perspective? Yeah, so I think over the last couple of years, obviously with everything that's happened, whether it be COVID and any of the challenges that come along, I think travel managers have had to take more and more responsibility, and that may be for things such as travel vaccinations and requirements, duty of care. They're probably moving into a realm of travel is probably not the only thing that they do now. They probably have many different hats to wear. I think what we'll probably continue to see is that will evolve. Certainly with things like sustainability being a very hot topic, they're probably going to be involved in that kind of meeting and at quite a high level. So really, they're going to be having to work more and more than ever in partnership with their travel provider.
And a lot of conversations I've had with buyers is I'm hearing talk of having to move from more tactical to more strategic. So as that travel management partner, how are you supporting your customers in that move from that tactical day-to-day operational work to that higher level strategic work, especially now that they have that seat at the table with the C-suite?
Absolutely, and I think probably there's twofold, isn't there? There's those existing customers that have potentially been with you for a few years, and we've gone through the whole pandemic together. And at times when there hasn't been travel to book, we've been having conversations about where we're going to move when travel returns. Well, travel has returned, and it's returned in a big way. So really, certainly at FCM and Corporate Traveller, we took the opportunity to have those planning discussions. What are our shared goals for the next 12 months, next 18 months? What do we want to achieve? What does good look like? And then from new customers, it's really that implementation and that kickoff. During the RFP process, what really are we looking to achieve? And as you say, those travel managers now have a voice, and it's very loud in that process, whereas before maybe that didn't sit potentially with them solely, which can only be a good thing. The closer you get to the booking process and the travel experience, the more educated you are on what the challenges are, and you can then talk to that C-suite and educate them on how things are at ground level.
So we've not only seen a shift in the role of the travel manager, but we've seen some shifts in what travelers want, need, expect. And so traveler well-being, beyond just the health and safety concerns related to COVID, but just that broader idea of we need to take care of ourselves, right? We need to be physically healthy, we need to be mentally healthy. People's priorities really shifted a lot over the past 2 years. So traveler well-being is something else that has fallen under the travel manager's remit. So how have your brands pivoted to support your customers who now have been providing a more deeper type of traveler well-being support within their program?
Well, there's a couple of different things, again, depending on the component and the travel program that we're facilitating and working on with our customers. And that can be as simple as putting in a robust hotel program that always features certain levels of, there is a gym, there is several different choices of restaurant in which to eat. They are in locations which are already checked and safe for women to travel to in a solo basis, to making decisions around the length of journey and what cabin people will change in. We saw during COVID, and it hasn't gone away, the rise of car hire over either train or short haul flights. So things really have changed, and more and more it's becoming part of that process of selecting a travel partner that is what is it you can offer. And both in FCM we have obviously bespoke plans that we can put in place. And then the other element of that is things like sustainability. How can people make choices over what travel they take and how it impacts the environment?
Yeah. So I think, along with this, we talk about priorities like traveler well-being, we talk about sustainability, and sometimes I feel like there's a bit of a dichotomy or some competing priorities, right? So on one hand, you may have companies saying, you know what, your well-being is that much more important to us. So we've seen some companies allowing for business class travel where they didn't before. And then on the flip side of that, we hear from the sustainability perspective that business class isn't necessarily the most sustainable form of air travel. So how are you helping your customers sort of find a way to balance those competing priorities?
I think it comes down to data actually, which isn't a pretty sexy topic unless you're involved in data and you like actually looking at it.
But it's important in terms of making decisions.
It is important. I think what it does is it gives people the information to make decisions on. So if you can get a value business class flight, depending on where the priority sits within that customer, that will be the information that they require, as opposed to whether or not we have a route deal in place that they need to get certain numbers on or whatever it may be. It's about the data that they can then make an informed decision on. So, for instance, if you have a platform whereby people can make decisions on which fare they book dependent on its CO2 implementation, then again, that's giving data. And it can be giving data either to the finance department, the travel booker, or the traveller themselves. And you talked earlier about the role of the traveller changing as well. Absolutely, people are making those decisions, but again, based on the data.
Absolutely. And how are you at FCM? I guess, so you've got the data, but then you use that data to present potentially different, work with your customers to present different options to travelers during the booking process. So you talk to me about how sort of that data flows into then any changes that are made to say what content is showing up in the online booking tool, or what information is showing up in the online booking tool.
Sure. So with the platforms, there are options to either preference certain providers if that is part of the travel program that a customer wishes to do, or potentially show the most effective carbon level booking that they've made. So you can prioritize that so that a customer is able to be guided if that's what the customer requires. Their travelers can be guided, or alternatively that can be set at a higher level. So it's about giving them the options. It's then about the full reporting afterwards. So once travel's been made, once we get to the end of that month and the account management team come in and they're doing the reviews, it's about having meaningful conversations around, again, I'll go back to it, the data, and in what manner can we show that best starts that invested conversation.
Well, and then, sort of continuing with this data conversation, a conversation I was having recently was also about, we've seen some new traveler personas develop or perhaps shift from pre-pandemic. So the road warrior who was traveling a lot before the pandemic may, for any number of reasons, may decide, I'm not going to travel as much anymore. Whereas then we also have a whole brand new group of travelers, as we have these more dispersed workforces, and now people are really bringing teams together for the first time in the first few years. We have people who have never traveled for a company before, so they have to learn how to travel. So we don't have either as much data or the same kind of data that we had before. So, and obviously we need that data to look at, how is that impacting, buying decisions, what types of recommendations we do make to travelers. So, again, as a TMC, are you looking at your data pool from all of your customers to perhaps help support individual customers to make some changes?
Yeah, so we've looked at the entire portfolio as it is, and looked for trends and put together reports which we publish to show where we see the trends going from a higher level. But then for individual customers, you're absolutely right. So we now got people that are coming through that haven't travelled overseas previously. It's new to their role. They're still in love with the glamour of it. It's still exciting, and it's a pleasure to deal with those people, but it's also a pleasure to deal with the road warrior who probably doesn't travel 7 times a quarter, maybe just goes once, but when they go, they're probably booking maybe in business class, they're staying at a different hotel because actually the budget allows them to do so, or the travel policy at their company has changed and actually wellness has come to the forefront, and now what they're booking as their trends have changed. But we can report on that, and we have historical data, but you're right, the conversations have come afresh now with account management. So yeah, it's an interesting time, very interesting.
So we've got just about a minute left. So again, going back to your data, so what is the data telling you?
I shouldn't have mentioned data, should I?
Hey, it's always important to talk about data. So what is the data telling you that travel managers need to be paying attention to as they look ahead to 2023?
I think really if one thing that we're seeing travel managers do now is really try and mandate their policies if at all possible. They should be booking the right type of travel through the right forum, whether that be using an OBT or, as we do at FCM, we've got the blended solution. You can use the online tool, or alternative, you can come through and use the dedicated consultant resource. So you've got online and offline options. I think what we're seeing people do now is mandate whether they want to get the best value or whether they want to get the widest range of content, where do I go? And for the more complex, I've got the ability to do that as well.
Fantastic. Well, Andy, it's been lovely chatting with you today.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your new role and best of luck, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you so much.